Hi, this is Kim Pinkney, and welcome to my channel. Alright, so today I want to talk a little bit about thumbnailing as I start to do some thumbnailing. Turn down the music just a smidge. Just a smidge. Alrighty. And for those who are new to my channel, this month I'm pretty much focusing on doing a webtoon called Nocturnal Emissions. It's for a contest, and I got the description of the contest, or the link to the contest, in the description of my thingy. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. So mine is called Nocturnal Emissions, and it's about a guy who can't sleep. It's supposed to be in the mind-bending category, and I wanted to go ahead and move forward on my thumbnailing because I got caught up in the coloring, and the coloring for me is it is very time consuming, and I'll tell you why. Not for the usual reasons you would think. When you're thumbnailing for yourself, there are times when you start to add things in there that weren't in the script, that weren't in the story. It's kind of like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if I added this, or wouldn't it be cool if I added that? So, like this particular panel here, where art thou, woman? I love when, there it is. This is what I was working on this weekend. And pretty much this part right here was, so I installed a time lock on my door. Once time was reached, a box with the money and the key would open up and she could leave. Basically, this guy, he can't sleep alone. When he sleeps alone, he has nightmares, and his work suffers, and he loves his job. He worked hard to get that job. He just loves his job. It's part of his identity. And it's hard to imagine that as an American, but and maybe not for those who are really ambitious. But for this guy, it's the kiss of death to lose his job. Maybe it's just the way he was raised. Maybe it's his culture. Who knows? But he will do anything to be the best at what he does. So he tried going through normal girls, and that didn't work out too well. When he sleeps, he gets the nightmares. But if he has someone there with him, they get the nightmares. But for them, it's physical. For him, it's just something in his mind. But for them, it's totally physical. At least to the point where it's sort of like this. It's physical to an extent for him, but not really. Just enough to like mess with him. And I kind of started developing the story a little bit deeper as I started coloring, and that's what takes the longest, is because as I'm going, is like different things start to come to mind. Like right here, when he wakes up from a dream, I have this little hand, a little rough hand here, kind of receding into the darkness, and with that hand right there, it's like as he wakes up, all that stuff seems to just dissipate. So that's what's going on in that particular picture, but I didn't have that initially. Let's see. What else was I going to do? Okay, so my thumbnails. These are the type of thumbnails that I use, and I basically got this from online. Now, different thumbnails work for different people. I thought this would be an ideal thumbnail for something that was similar to the Webtoons format, where everything is kind of sequential. Well, sorry. Where it has like things stack on top of each other, rather than where you read panel to panel, sideways and left and right and things like that. And this is what I'm talking about, where it, whoops, let me bring it over because you guys can't see what I'm talking about. This is Webtoon, and everything, the panel to panel, it's all for scrolling. So as I'm developing my comic, I'm developing it for this. It'll be crap for print. Then it would have to be set up in the panel format. But that's basically how I'm setting mine up. This is the croaking. I love this one. Another one, and it also gives you ideas. Looking at others' work kind of gives you an idea how you should be thinking in terms of what you're story, how to tell your story. A lot of the stories that go pretty fast are the ones that have little to no dialogue. Let's see. Whoops, right here. Go into myself, my subscribed. There we go. Now these are all the ones that I'm subscribed to. I like a lot of them because of the artwork and a combination of the story. So it also helps me to kind of sort out what I want to do. So like if you want something to go fast, you want to, and you're working on your pacing, you want as little, what is it called? Little panels to tell your story. So if this guy's talking crap, so you've got more panels. But when action appears, you have things like this that pop up. Little to no dialogue. And even in between panels, you can set words and thought balloons and action stuff. You don't have to be as detailed if they're not the principled action, if they're not the main focus. See how the background people are not as detailed? You don't have to go into that great detail. Even the background itself, they want you to stay focused on what's happening in the center. So that's another thing to keep in mind of when you're doing your thumbnailing. It's like, what is the most important thing? What should the people be focused on and to tell your story? So using that in mind, so I came up with these thumbnails by doing a search on Google. I either did storyboard template or I did thumbnails, and it leads you basically to the same thing. And what I was looking for were thumbnails like blank thumbnails, because I tried making the squares myself and it just was disastrous. It's easier to have something that was already created with lines, I thought. So I could put whatever action's going on, I could make a little description, and then whatever little picture that I wanted to use to help me go. But in my case, I wanted my thumbnails to be horizontal instead of vertical. I wanted it kind of in that Webtoon format so that I could have my action or my drawings overlap at certain times with other panels. So it's kind of like I want to direct the eye like this. So I had ended up finding a thumbnail that fit my criteria. So once I found the thumbnail that I wanted and I started doing my designing on it, and I don't have a lot of detail in it, just enough to tell me what's kind of happening in the scene, and then, you know, just for YouTube purposes, so that you guys can kind of see where my thought process is. I have just enough detail to show you that there's a face here and there's a body here in the bed, not because I want to be vague, but because I want to get the image out as fast as I can. So with that in mind, and then when I start to color, that's when I start to add the cool stuff into it. Like this right here, I didn't anticipate, I wanted him to be pissed off. Every time I was drawing him on here, I wanted him to be like really freaking pissed off that she was late. Being late cuts into his sleep time, and he planned on taking some sleeping pills, but I don't want to show that he's popping pills. I'm going to put in her little lace book, her little lace book chat, that he just popped a shit ton of sleeping pills. He's not going to be awake for nothing. And then whoever she's talking to is going to be saying, well, can you sneak out? And it's like, nah, he's got a time lock on the door. And then even the friend will say, who does that? So basically right here is like, seriously, she thought that she would be the focus of the night. It's kind of like a narcissistic type of thing. You know, I'm a call girl, I expect to have attention, and she shows up, undoes her jacket, and it's like expects to be, you know, worshipped basically. And so she's like, seriously, what kind of freak puts a time lock on a bedroom door? and I was thinking that too, like, what freak does that? Hey, Ted and Hearts, how you doing? And then I want him to be pissed. And it wasn't just enough to get his expression to be pissed. I wanted his thought balloon to be pissed. It's like, you're late. The mini fridge is in the bathroom, because I had to figure out if I was there for somebody for 8 freaking hours. Time for me to binge eat. Cool. 8 freaking hours with somebody. And, and there's only, and I think I'm going to have it set up so that he only has them come into one room. I didn't want somebody roaming around his house able to rob him. And he's not a dumb guy. So at this point, he's like got the idea that I'm not going to let, he's already gone through a bunch of women. And he's like, okay, learned his lesson from a lot of those. But after these nightmares appear and whatnot, these women like are crawling their way out of the house. I have one where they're just virtually crawling their way out of the damn panel. And I tried to show in quick succession what's going on. It's like he doesn't have a problem getting women, but like I said, by the time it all ends the same, they're all screaming, they're all trying to find their way out, and then he ends up desperate because he's just gone through his entire phone and of women. And then this is how he sometimes finds them if they don't leave. He's like, I was worried about you. I didn't know what to do. Da 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 da. You were just sleeping, and you had this smile on your face, and just all kinds of stuff. So I can't wait to color this stuff in. But I leave it just with enough detail to give me an idea of, what's happening in the scene. However, things could be added to it. So that's one thing about doing your thumbnail is you get an idea and just kind of, I wanted to look icy. I wanted his thoughts to be icy. So I went and found some ice cubes because I thought the next one, if he's ever like getting that icy attitude, I want to use like an iceberg or something like that. That's on the thumb, on the thought balloon. So that's how I came across doing something like that. But that wasn't something that I had initially came up with in my story. So, with somebody being late, that's once the drawing is being done, the coloring and stuff. So that's the benefit of being your own writer and artist. You can improvise, you can add more things, especially if it saves you a little bit more time. So basically, if you are having a hard time trying to visualize your story, like right now, I'm at a point, like depending on how many thumbnails you need, whatever format, if it's easier for you to read side by side like that, or if it's easier to do this type of format like what I've got, whatever you choose is right. Okay, whatever works for you is right. So the way I kind of see these thumbnails is that once I get the idea down, I'll increase the size to maybe 2 or 3 of these panels are shown. Definitely have to save the panel. In my Google Docs, I was smart enough to save one of the panels so that I didn't lose it forever. So let me see. I wonder if my Google Docs is up. Let me see, and I can show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, your Google Drive is free. It's called My Drive, and I can make thumbnails. I can make presentations of my source images, and then I can also upload my thumbnails in their original state. And usually I use these thumbnails for when I do my my thumbnail for YouTube. So this is not lost, and I can always access it again if I open it up in my iPad. So that's basically what the thumbnail looks like of what's going on. And it's a guide, but I'm not sticking to it wholeheartedly. I will change it up a bit. It's kind of like inspiration. So with all that exposition, let's go ahead and keep going. Now, looking at my story, me go to something else here. Let me bring it up, and I'll see what part I'm going to be working on. Okay, so I need to get into chapter 2. I've just kind of got to chapter 1. Now, at the end of the chapter 1, the girl does earn her money. She stays all damn night. That's how bad she needed the money. I'm not sure if I want to show how she survives the night. Just know that, like a cockroach, she's going to survive. I used a certain inspiration for that. But so she survived, got her wad of cash, but not without a cost to him. So for this thumbnail, for like the end of chapter 1, this was going to be him like coming to brush his teeth, and then him looking down at, let me get my little pen here. I'll use the studio pen because that can get really small. And then I use the soft brush for when I'm doing the coloring. Okay, so studio pen. And then this was him looking at his door. We'll say like the money's gone, he's woken up, he went to the bathroom, he's brushing his teeth. And we'll kind of have this kind of action going where he's kind of looking sideways so that we see what he's seeing. We got scratches with blood fingernails. Thank you, Randy, for that. Holloway Ventures, thank you for that. That his door is all scratched up. That beautiful door that we see right here where he's pissed is going to be the same door that's all scratched up. And I want to put like scratches on the box, and so it's like he comes back to here, and I don't like the blue so much. Because when I go down to making it transparent, and I want like or actually, I was going to have him kind of looking at his door, kind of pissed off. So instead of, and here's all the scratches and the blood. And I'm trying to decide if I want him to. I want an expression where he's looking at this stuff, and we'll see that the box is open. It's got like a little slide. Money's gone, and it's 0, 0, 0. And then just like scratches. Like she's been at the door scratching all damn night. So we got that going on, and I'm trying to decide how I want him like with his hand, either like his hand on his hip type of thing. It's like shit. Now I gotta get this fixed. Whole nother thing. It's like it's costing him a lot of money, these nightmares, when he could have just like been enduring it himself. No, we can't do that. If he endures it himself, he can't get a good night's sleep. And this is going to be the end of chapter 1. And it could be like, little did I know, these bitches talk too. So all his dates were canceled. I can show that either in another screen, or I could do the same thing. I could do another montage of women screaming. Otherwise, you know, and either way, I don't want to make my audience think that they're idiots, that they need to be spoon-fed this stuff. because they're not. You found me. You chose me. Okay. So, oh, let's see. Maybe in the opposite direction. Just trying to make sure I get this pose. And now another thing about doing stuff like this. Let's see. This could be on his hand, on his thigh. Depending on how much I want to show. Okay, so he's got that, and I want his toothbrush to kind of point. It's in his mouth, and it's kind of pointing. And then I could have shit. And you know, I could even have the blood still dripping onto the next panel, and that could be like the end of chapter 1. Okay, so now for me right now, I have no idea what I want to draw next. So let's get here. We'll say this is chapter 2. Come over to my canvas, canvas information. Okay, and then just name this chapter 2, page 1. Okay, so I'm allowed up to, what is it called? 3 to 5 chapters, and each chapter has to have, oops, you guys can't see that. You didn't see any of that. Wonderful, wonderful. That sucks. Okay, so I'll go back in a sec. But here's where I am so far. I'm labeling my canvas here. And then I'm coming back here. But what I was just talking about, I am so sorry about that, you guys. Is gallery, not gallery, video, replay. Okay, so he's brushing his teeth first thing in the morning, and he's looking at the door. I hate that it's pixelated like this. And then he's squatting, looking at the damage on the door. We already see that the money's gone, but he's looking at all the damage that's really super low to the door. And I just drew that in. And I could have like the blood dripping onto the next panel. You know, the panels don't have to be uniform like this. They could overlap. They can, you know, they could do all kinds of things. You know, they can be, you know, as big as I need them to be. All right. Or I could just cut it all off. It'll still tell the story. And I could put, you know, if this is cheesecake, I can put like a little towel around his butt. Or I can even just show his legs. And if I need to say something, it's like, little did I know that was the last hooker that would come into my house. You know, this could be his leg. You can have like maybe the towel here. Or I can even go higher and show his butt or something like that. I could have his hand with his toothbrush, and that also could lead to the next panel. That's if I need to add more panels to what I've got. So just kind of, I'll find a hand holding a brush if I need to. If you ever have problems visualizing poses and stuff like that, you can always look it up and use source images. It'll help save you time, and let's see, we'll have the brush kind of going at an angle and have that dripping as well, and that could be end of chapter 1 as well. Or maybe it's a good thing go. You can have that even be smaller. This could be his leg. He's got his toothbrush in hand. And I can get rid of some of these lines. The point of these thumbnails is to just try to get that idea out there. You're not doing the official image yet. This isn't it. It's just to get that idea. And if I can keep it clean enough, and I could put like world's handsomest, or what is that people's sexiest man alive. I could put that on his towel. You know, just have some fun with it. And a lot of the other things that I had come up with, like for this one, on her panties, it says "money makes me moist." You know, you could have like little fun like that, Lacebook instead of Facebook. You know, it's where the hookers go. Yeah. All right, so that would be like the end of chapter 1. So chapter 2 is a friend of mine from the Navy came into town. He told me that he'd buy me a drink, and we talked about old times. So I can either greet the friend, and I want to try to do a good portion of the chapter, or a good portion of the paragraph in 5 panels. So I'm going to keep reading. Okay, a friend of mine came from the Navy came to town, told me he'd buy me a drink, and we talked about old times. He told me that he was accepted into the FBI. I was happy for him. It was like and I could put like that was his dream. So like if I wanted to, I could knock that down into, instead of it being exposition, it could be knocked into dialogue. So, and I could set it up so that my boy here is at a bar, and he's kind of hunched over, and maybe he's drinking a beer or something like that. And I could see like this would be, oh, not even a mug. Who does mugs? You fucking do bottles. Give me the goddamn bottle. And no, I won't make it a Corona. Tempted as I am, I could. And just kind of have him maybe in a suit, and he's just kind of just drowning his I don't even want him drinking, because part of him, it's like he knows he's going to go home alone tonight. So just the hint of the beer maybe. And maybe to a certain extent here. We'll roll up his sleeves. And we'll put his arm on the bar. And maybe he'll look at a chick over here. because he'll be damned if he's going home to sleep by himself tonight. But his friend is coming in, so we got like what we could have like the door here. I could classy up the place, put some like tables, or even look for an actual bar and use that. Throw like a piano somewhere over here, but so we got like a piano. And then maybe he realizes, I know who that fool is. We'll have him kind of looking at this chick here. Just enough to give me an idea on what's going on. And it's kind of brainstorming too, because this might not even be what I'm going to be doing. So like kind of in the back of his mind, I can't get drunk. If I get drunk, I'm going to pass out and go to sleep, and just all, I can't have that. I gotta, and here we go, target sighted. And maybe she'll be, it's like good, she's drinking. And he sees him. Maybe he says his name. And he's like, holy shit. And then maybe he's still picking up chicks. his buddy here. Now also we could change the perspective so that we can not only see more of the bar, but we could see the two guys and give them, they could probably like give each other hugs. They were like tight. Got the piano back there, got the door back there. Maybe have maybe a pool table. I thought you'd have a pool table with the piano in the bar. God, how long has it been? God, how long has it been? You know, so this could even be swapped. He could like say his name. Yo, D. And it's like, what? It's like, dog. You know, however I want them to greet each other, but I think that's too much. Because I want to get to the part where, okay, well maybe, okay, so they're talking. It's like, are you still in the Navy? No, I just was accepted into FBI. And he's like, oh, that's freaking awesome. So they're catching up. Got married. Maybe he'll look at his hand or something like that. I don't know. Men don't do that. Maybe when he's got his beer, he'll notice the ring or something like that. I don't want it to go on for a long time. So it's like, hey, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah. So what I could do is have him, he wasn't a big fan of the military. So the last place he'd really want to go to is to an E-club. So I'll let his friend kind of put that in his mind. So like, what are you doing here? You should be at the club. It's like, oh, hey, how you doing? It's like, what are you doing here? It's like, I was about to head over to the E Club. I was just playing pool, blah blah blah. Or maybe, yeah, maybe he was playing pool, bump the piano. This ain't that classy. So, depending on what the establishing shot would be, uh, but basically, I've got him at a bar. He's kind of drowning his sorrows, or maybe just taking that one for the night. You know, hunting, I guess. Sees his friend. They give hugs, and then they catch up. Or he was just playing pool, and I could have him. Let's see, where can he put the pool? Yeah, we'll put the pool cue right here. Or actually, we'll just leave it there, and then they're just talking to each other. Shooting the shit. We'll say we'll get 2 more. Let's see. I don't know. I don't know if I want to be all touchy feely. I don't know if all guys are like that. But yeah, this is like his boy. It's like, bartender, 2 more. And I could see his friend kind of going, "Oh, no, I can't do that. I can't stay out too late. You know, I gotta get home before I gotta." See, this is one of the things about being an artist. Your mind is faster than you can draw. And then probably what I'll do is try to figure out which panels I want to keep, which panels I'm going to get rid of. Just kind of getting the idea of what I'm trying to do here. And just have both of them looking at the bartender. Okay, so he orders 2 more beers. We don't want to lose the beer that was there. Got to stay consistent. Now with these, I'm not worried about layers or anything like that, except that I don't want it on the panel layer in case I need to grab that layer and use it somewhere else. So even I could keep this as chapter 1, create a whole nother layer, make that one disappear, and just keep the story going. So tell me about yourself, so they start off like this. Tell me what's going on with you. I'm getting married, blah, blah, blah. And then our friend tells his story, and then the next thing you know, they're like this. Both of them are like this. Man, that sucks. And then maybe a few hours later, it's like, wow. And then he's back to where he was. Maybe he's drinking. So what are you going to do? You know, so maybe he's looking at him at an angle. Like, dude, that sucks. You know, and then they could even discuss, you know, well, did you try this? Did you try that? And it's like, dude, I've been like this for years. Or even the friend might even know that he's been like that for years. Like, he can ask him, so how you doing? Are you still having those nightmares? He's like, really? That bad, huh? And then he just goes through the entire story with him. It's like, yeah, that bad. So maybe they were smiling at first. And just kind of keeping that, I don't want him to touch him. I don't want him, it's not that kind of relationship. But just to show that they're, and we'll still have that pool cue. And it's like, man, dude. So I'll just have him hold the pool cue. So maybe he's like, you still have those nightmares? Let's see, we'll back him up a bit. It's like, marriage, you should try it, dude. You know, yeah, it looks good on you. Whatever. You know, whatever guys talk about. So right here, his friend is like, been caught up. Maybe a beer's been put in front of him. It's a big beer. We'll have the bartender, like, so maybe while these guys are doing their thing, just want to kind of show that life is still going on. It's not just, you know, life stops while these guys are talking. Okay, so we'll say a few beers later. We'll have like people behind or whatnot. Nah, we'll stay focused on them. Maybe we'll have somebody pass in the background or something if I feel froggy. Okay, or maybe it's just a slow night, so you'll have this tie a little bit lower. Let's see, I could domesticate his friend by putting a different type of shirt on him. A shirt and a sweater. He got his dad's sweater on. And then he could be looking at probably a girl over his shoulder or something like that. Just walked in, maybe. Just something that, you know, he's always on the hunt. Now, while I'm doing thumbnails, I'm kind of brainstorming what's going on, what do I see, what do I hear. It could be like clinks of glass, could be something breaking, could be the bartender again reaching for another drink or something like that. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. Okay, so we got that going on. This is where his eyes are, and I still haven't decided everything about his friend because I had it predicated on you know, the Ben Affleck type of thing. So I was going to use what's his name, Matt Damon. These guys are forever. They're always in each other's shit. Why not? Maybe I'll use somebody else now that I've got two different other actors. So now it comes down to, so what are you going to do now that he's all caught up? And then maybe an over-the-shoulder shot of both of them here. It's like sometimes these things work themselves out. So we'll have a girl maybe two. You know, way across the bar. Cool thing about this is I can always make this smaller or raise these guys up higher because nobody's that low. Yeah, and that's one of the things I like about drawing in this type of program is that you have a lot of control. Okay, so they're both looking in that direction. Because I didn't order this. Did you order this? I didn't order this. And maybe the bartender puts down another two. It's like, no, this is all you, bro. Like I said, good looking guy. Have his dad's sweater. Maybe I'll make it into a sports sweater. Polo or solo or some crap like that. We'll just kind of have it like that. Gotta be a little shy. Just kind of All these phallic symbols on the table. What are you doing, Kim? Okay, so I'm just kind of uh, guesstimating what's going on. So he's like, so what do you do now? You know, and he's like, well, these things kind of sort themselves out. She must be from out of town. Somehow, some way, I'm going to have this woman beckon to him. Um, Now, I'm also thinking I could do this. Do another box in between. Why do it like that, Kim? You can do this. Let's see. This freehand, or actually the rectangle tool, and just do like a little inset right here. Put that on another layer, and maybe just fill that with white. I wonder if I do, let me try something. Nah, let's see, we'll just fill that with white, or a light blue so we can see it. There we go. So if I have to erase anything, this layer is fine. And then I got this layer here, maybe not that light of a blue, maybe a little bit lighter, so I don't have to work so hard. Okay, so I can add another block here and then start drawing on that. Let's see. And just kind of have her be looking fetching. No, it's a woman. And maybe a little wink. That looks like a middle finger. Always a fan. Let's see. A fan of yours? So her eyes are here. We'll have that one. And this one I could have be older woman. She knows what she wants. Cougar. Ooh, we can have cougar ears. Rawr. I don't think my boy is proud. I think he'd jump at it. Why not? You know, it's a good night's sleep. She'll probably end up dead. Well, she looks spry. We'll have her look spry. Silver fox. That's what we'll have. She knows what she likes. I could have her doing this. Hold up. Just kind of. That's all you, bro. That's all you, bro. Let's see. We got to give her something kind of. Oh, no, no, no. See if I can get my anatomy straight here. I want a tongue involved here. Let's see. Here we go. And of course, maybe she shook it up a little bit. Okay. See, none of this was in the script. But it will prompt him to go, you know, why don't you go to the club? Why don't you go to the E Club? And in truth, he didn't think about that. I think she wants you, bro. Now she should be a hot mama. We should make her a hotter mama. Let's see who's good looking. They had like J-Lo. I should draw like J-Lo or Madonna. You know, still got it. I still got it. Let me see. Trying to see if should I draw J-Lo or Madonna. Somebody who's an older lady is still kind of sexy. Kind of. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see. I found a cute picture of her. Let's see. But something that looks a little sexier. Little sexier. Let's see. We take this picture here and copy that. And I'll show you what I was looking at. So like that is across the bar and it's like it's interested. She is totally, that's all you, bro. I don't know if I can handle her. Oh yeah, but I'll try. Let's see. I just imagined him saying that kind of stuff. Okay. So I'll grab that as a source image and copy that. See, I don't need these. Okay, so let me put just as a note, because I got a long way to go. Okay, so there's J-Lo. It's like, and then I want to take this same image here, kind of keep that same right here, but his friend is drinking. So I'm gonna go ahead and paste that and bring that down. It's like, that's all you, bro. Like, why don't you go to the club? It's like, you don't have to have fossils, you know, just being rude. Let's see. Let's see, how should I fix this? Oh yeah, I was gonna have him kind of lean back a little bit. Let me toss one back here. No, I need the freehand. Oops. Forget you gotta tap it twice to get back to it. Let's see, and we'll just tilt his head. And we'll change his arm here. We'll erase everything here. And I think to his friend's surprise, he's just going to go ahead and do it. He's like, that's all you, bro. It's like, beggars cannot be choosers. And then he's going to watch him go. He's like, this fool did not just... Okay, so in this picture, I'm imagining him going up to her and getting her phone number. He's making a date, yo. And he's making it like right after he's done with all the hookers. He still probably has one more date up his sleeve. Or maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's desperate now. Let's see. Let's try to figure out what to do with her hand. I'll get rid of that. Okay, so he's got that going on. And then his friend tells him about the E-Club. It's like, dude, you know you could go to the E-Club. Let's see, and we'll give her a very low-cut blouse. Hey, if you got it, flaunt it. This is a man catch us. Show her man catch us. Oh yeah, gotta throw her silver fox in. There we go. Okay. Let's see. How old is she? Like 50 something? Um, and old boy here, I don't even think he's in his 30s yet. I can't remember. Maybe he is. Late 20s, early 30s. Still got it. Okay. Oops. All right, so all right. He could chuckle. See, I'd laugh if it wasn't, but then again, it is what it is. Ain't gonna age shame anybody. All right. I hope once I get to that age, I can still attract those kind of guys. Why not? Whatever, bro. Okay, so moving forward, it's like you could always hit the E-Club, and then you can go on about the wonders of the E-Club. Okay, so he's waving goodbye. My typical rag hand. Here we go. Here we go. Yeah, typical rag hand there. And then her little hand. Oops. Okay, he's like, let's go. We gotta go. And then he's mentioning the E Club and stuff like that, so. Or, let's see, we can try to play it out in a different perspective. Or, let's see, we've got the older the shoulder, la 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 la. We could do like the long distance. Just want to kind of change up the view. Maybe instead of from his friend's point of view, we got that right there. Let's go ahead and turn these guys off again. I wish I would have done this on the other panels and just kept recycling my panels here. Okay, so instead of, so I can have the friend here saying, you know, you don't have to like, let's see, if you're, okay, so the thumb would be here. Dude, you don't have to go after the low-hanging fruit. I know you're in your time of need here, but you've got at least a couple more options. And then maybe his friend is listening from right here. And maybe he has a drink in his hand. And so he's explaining, you know, you can always go to the E Club. They're all young, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're young, some are single. They're all in good shape. She's a break in case of an emergency, I guess. No, she's not a break in case of an emergency. She's next week. Maybe tomorrow. You're bullshitting. But I see your point, you know, type of thing. Good, let's go. So basically he'll tell him that these girls, they're on different ships, coming from different ships. Get his wallet out. They're coming from different ships. They're young. They're in good shape because they have to maintain the standards. This will give us a chance to see the other side of the bar too, if I choose to show that. You have the pool tables back here. Maybe this is a tiger. This is a definitely an interesting environment. I just discovered this bar. Nah, this could make it like a biker club or something like that. That would be cool. Oh boy, going to a biker club. First I was going to have her wave and stuff, but I'm like, nah, bump it. We're not here for you. At least not at this hour. And it's not even about the sex type of thing sometimes. It's just, he's got to have that person to sleep with. And I'll probably find a source image that is like way better. And I think maybe she'll look at him. Let's see. I'm trying to think, am I doing a bar or a club? This is a bar. So let's see. Do the Hoochie Mama dress. I had a Hoochie Mama dress once, and I think I'll give it to her. This is, let's see, my Hoochie Mama dress. It was like the spandex thing. And it was so gaudy, and every few minutes I always had to keep pulling it down, and it had like little stripes, and it was like alternating between like a fluorescent green, and I can't remember the other color. Mankacha outfits. I can't remember what I wore with that. Let's see. Could make her a little sexier looking. There we go. For those accidental pool shots. Gotta keep it low. Man catchers are heavy. Okay, so there we are. Dirty pillows are almost out. Okay, and let's see, we'll give her a ponytail. Okay, so that's what's going on in the background there. Maybe another woman here, or maybe a dude this time. I'll find a pool table. Okay, so gotta have him look like he's moderately interested. Okay. So now, thought balloons, depending on your medium, you know, like where you're publishing, you can either leave space for them, like there, there, and one of the things I like doing is, and this is one of the things that I saw from other comic books that I used to read, they would have the thought balloon or speech balloon kind of behind the person, so you knew who was actually talking. It's not always a luxury to have. And then those that are in front of the person, they'd have like a little tail or like a little line that goes to them if it wasn't, if it didn't look that obvious. So it's kind of like he's trying to keep his attention by kind of standing in the way of some of these views here. It's like, and I think I'll give him like some sort of sports sweater, like soccer or something like that. Rugby or some weird sport. Okay, so just to clean up these lines a little bit, I'm just going to erase a little bit. Or I could just make a whole nother layer like this. I could drop the opacity just a smidge. And that's just to clean up these lines a bit. And what I'll do is I'll increase the size of my brush and just kind of do this sort of thing. Now, not every panel is going to get used because I am limited to how many panels I can have. I have to at least have a minimum of 30. I think it's a minimum. According to their rules. But when you're doing your own webtoon, I've seen them as much as 45. Some of them are repeating. And I can show you what I mean. Give me a second. I'm going to pull up the webtoons again. So like this could be one here. I didn't know what I was doing. Okay, so one that does a lot of repeating is this one right here. I'm going to bring that over. So your thumbnails can be as intricate as you need them to be. Okay, so this one here does a lot of repeating when it comes to showing panels. This is Weak Hero. It's one of my favorites. And it does the repeating, what's it called? When they are doing close-ups. Like this could be a farther shot that he's already used. He or she or the author. But I like how they use different, like if they're doing a close-up on somebody, a different perspective, look like a top-down perspective. So let's see, I'm trying to find one where they repeat panels, and it'll save you some time, especially if it's just the same thing over and over again. They may be talking or whatnot. Maybe not this one, but there was a couple others where they would show the same panel, and they would show it just close up. But I like that there's enough empty space in between. That there is, he does keeps it. What's the word? Keeps changing the perspective. Someone's shoulder here, someone's shoulder there. The establishing shot is what classroom they're in. Here's the school. And I need to do an establishing shot, so I need to have a picture of a bar. I need to show maybe the interior of the bar so we have an idea of where we're at. And then he may use this again, but further out. Like this could have been the eyes that we had just seen. But then he changes it just a smidge, or maybe just leaves it the same and just comes out a little bit. So that's another technique that you can also use. Same eyes, just zoomed in, and he's thinking, type of thing. So that could also show indecision, emotion, things like that, just by changing how far in you go in on a particular picture. So there's many ways of skinning the cat and telling your story. Let me get out of that. All right. So right now I'm just kind of staying close up with these guys, maybe changing up what the person's saying. But I want to be able, my goal is to say what I need to say to get to the next scene. In 5 panels or less. Because I am constrained by the amount of panels to tell the story. It's like, what are you doing? And if I needed to, let me see, I'm going to take this bad boy. And flip it horizontal. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah, so it's like, you don't have to do this. Not that it's wrong to do this. It's like, you don't have to be here. You've got a club, that e-club. You still have your military whatever, right? Your military benefits. It's like, yeah, I got them. So let's go. So it's like, you talk me into it, and that would lead into where we finally get to meet another bunch of women. So I'm not saying that his friend has got what's the word, let's see, I could keep these guys together, yeah, because there's one's got more detail than the other. Whoops. And be careful if you have a layer that is not visible, because you can lose it if you try to merge down. So I'm going to merge these down, merge down, merge down, and then that, even though it's still kind of fuzzy, it still gives me some of the detail that's in the background. Okay, so now your panels, if you have an idea of something, you don't have to be sequential right now. This is still a rough stage. So right here, I can do the establishing shot of a bar. I have no idea what bar I want to use. I can also do an extreme shot of him already at the bar, hunched over. And it could be even from the perspective of people playing pool. So his friend who's playing pool could already be there. And he could be at the bar way over here and never know it. And maybe he was playing with the girl. With the hoochie mama dress. We'll just throw some balls here. You know, and I am, so I could see them leaving. Maybe this guy is right here. So even if it's not the establishing shot, this shot right here, I can do this sort of thing. Maybe he gets up from the bar and his friend is already, we'll say his friend is already, let's say his friend is over here by now with the leaving. Whoops. But before they do, I want something before they leave. Whoops, sorry. I'm trying to get to the eraser. Okay, so like before they leave, I want him to get one more phone number. So he's coming over here. And this is just an excuse to use, let's see, his friend is heading this way. He's like, and we'll say that like kind of maybe his friend is like, what? And I could see the girl going, and this is my favorite line from American Gothic, the original American Gothic. And she says, "Rack your balls," and just kind of have her looking fetching. It may be a little devilish. And it gets her phone number. And we'll just put the little rack thing here. And then maybe his friend does this like face palm. I don't know these people. Or maybe let's see. Bump it. I should just put myself in there. Back when I used to do my hunting. Okay. Little dress. And then I can see his friend going, "You are such a simple creature," which is the line that Matt Damon says to Ben Affleck in Dogma. So, you're such a simple creature. It's like, what? And then maybe him shrugging his shoulders or something like that. You know, it's like once you, it's like, what? And I'll probably just cut it off right here. Yeah, that one's gonna be my favorite. Wreck your balls. Oh yeah, I love that. My one friend will get that. He's the one that tuned me into American Gothic. Um, and then I'll just kind of put her onto the pool table. And he's got her phone number. No problem getting women. Keeping them is a whole nother ball game. Okay, so none of this was in my original story. Not meeting a girl or two girls at a bar, but it also illustrates to his friend, just like, you know, how desperate this guy is. And let's see, I'll have her holding the rack here so she doesn't just pull it out of her ass, which is a gift. Okay, all right, so this is kind of ballsy because you don't know if she's with the old boy here, but the way she was looking at him, he can read the signs. Rack your balls. Okay. Blah blah blah. Saw you from across the room. Thought you were hot, but my friend is feeling sick, so we gotta go. La 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 la. I'm the designated driver, even though I drank like a shit ton of beers. He's not. He was hoping a girl would take him home and she would be the designated driver, which is not always a good strategy. I don't know. I'm trying to make a casual pose. Okay, yeah, black is pretty harsh. Uh, but it's just enough to give me an idea of where things are going to be. Okay, so next, and you just want to keep pushing on. And if you think you can get it from a different perspective, maybe a top-down angle, uh, and let's see, let's try it from a top-down angle. Possibly where he's approaching. Let's see, we'll close that off. Make another layer. So maybe you can almost, let's see, not that angle. Oops, don't want to go too far. Let's see. You see these two guys. One's already kind of at the door. He's coming back around. And if you have to, break it down to basic shapes. If you have a hard time visualizing or even drawing, break it down to basic shapes. Stick figures even. Can't get much basic than that. But also thinking we'll do the top-down version. Now she was about to rack the balls. We'll say that the person she's with was helping to throw the balls her way, and she's pretty much gathering them when oh boy decides to walk up. Maybe the guy's looking up to see him, and then we've got a good view of the pool table, and then it could switch over to rack your balls, and then his friend is back here holding the door open. I'm trying to imagine him being kind of shocked or something like that. But I don't think he'd be shocked at all what his buddy's done or become. So your stuff doesn't have to be precise. Just kind of an idea of motion, action. And this could even be his opportunity to give his line or something like that. You know, hey, my buddy's leaving, but we're leaving, but you were beautiful, and blah, blah, blah. I'd love to, you know, take you out to dinner sometime or some BS. Your face or mine. Here we go. Yeah, exactly. So, and then this could lead to wreck your balls. Let's see. But his friend is, let's see, the door was way in the back over here. And if I could find, if I could find someone with the face palm or something like that, like, oh my gosh, I could definitely do that and fit that in there. It comes down to how you're going to interpret your own work, your own writing, or what someone else has written. and how much freedom you have. So yeah, so here we go. We got his friend in the back here. I found a face palm. Let's see. Let's see. So we'll do the face palm here. He's got the door open here. Well, that's way in the back there. Let's see. Trying to get that perspective. Let's see, we'll say this is the back here. So he'd be like really, he'd be small. Let me bring this down some. And then so far I'll just do, and to keep you try to be a little dramatic with the posing, just a little. That way you can read from a distance. And maybe the door is open. Put that about like right here. And if it's still too big, you can always make it, you can draw it and then downsize it. Okay, so his friend is getting the phone number, you know, giving his line as he approaches. She sees him approach. Or I could have you know, approaching, and then she turns and goes, wreck your balls, and you know, basically or, and I could even have this guy say, I wanted my balls wrecked. Can wreck mine anytime. You know, so that's what's going on in this picture. And just to keep it interesting, changing it up a lot. So, well, if there's a lot of action going on, change it up a lot. If there's very little action, definitely change it up. I can't tell you how many of the most boring comics I've ever read that just had the same panel repeated over and over and over and over again. Try not to repeat your stuff too much. Like it would be like one person's face, same face, and then an expression. It's like, do it once or twice, but if you do it throughout the entire thing, unless it's a running gag, ugh. But it just gets boring seeing the same position over and over again. So I've seen from panel to panel that that comics, American comics, will switch the perspective a lot. Even if it's just over the shoulder of somebody else's shoulder, maybe a bird's eye view, a worm's eye view. I'm trying to get to the stupid eraser, but it kept giving me, like the smudge tool, it kept giving me the pen tool. And trying to find your source image, if you need one. You can always look online. You may not find exactly what you need, but you might find something that's close to what you can use. Okay, so, and then we come back to, you're such a simple creature. you know, and then we're leaving, and the next scene can be an E club. Um, and it's been so long since I've been to one. Oh my God. Uh, let's see. Now in my story, there we go. Um, takes them to, okay, so a friend of mine from the Navy came into town, told me that he'd buy me a drink, and we talked about old times. He told me that he was accepted into the FBI. I was happy for him. I was a vet, so I could get into the base whenever I needed to. I told him that I needed a chick to get some sleep, and he agreed. I needed to get laid, and you know, maybe he wasn't really thinking about getting laid. So he took me to a club on base. So that's where we're headed. A club on base. It was attached to an O club. He told me that these girls come into port for a week or so at a time, and from different ships and bases. I was like, sweet. Most were young, single, in good shape, clean, mostly disease-free, horny, lonely, tired from long hours on the ship, and the best part, they have to leave to get back to the ship for work. So there's no attachments and things like that. Okay, so while my buddy was there, I was in heaven. I became a regular. His wife, on the other hand, was not so happy, so he compromised by having one drink with me, and then he would leave. He would head home. Okay, so the hotels around the base were often full. So, so I'm going to have to show the club, or the E club, or O club, whichever one that he's going to. Now, let's see. So this would be like the establishing shot of the base club. I don't know. I'll have to like design it, and then I need to come up with a name for the club, like the Flyby or something like that. I don't know. Club Flyby. Could be Club Diego or wherever base that I decide to stick them in. I could even make this thing into like a ship theme, but you go to the club to get away from where you work. So the last thing you want to do is have a picture of where you work. Let's see. So this could be like the establishing shot, but if I don't have it in mind right off the bat, just keep going. It's kind of like brainstorming. What's next? What's next? What's coming? We could show the bevy of women. We could show the layout of the club. So one club that I had gone to in San Diego, let's see, it was set up so that once you walk in, we'll say that's the entrance, you had the big ass dance floor, you had the bar, and we'll say it has bar things, mostly beer. I don't remember them having mixed drinks. So there was maybe stools around here. There were tables. Then it kind of had a bar going around, like not a gate, but like a railing, so you could watch people dancing. And it would kind of open up like right here. Got some stairs. I'm really tapping my memory on this, boy. Many moons ago. Many moons ago. And the railing. And then there was the arcade in here. And that was, I want to say that was my favorite part. And then you had more bar stools. The place was huge. It was one of the bigger bases in San Diego. I'm sure it's changed since then. And then we had the lights. I can't remember where the DJ booth was, if there was even one. I'm sure there was one. I just don't remember it. And then you had where people would go to get their drinks here. You could order it here, and then the waitresses, if there were any, would be here. And then people would line up. Let's see, we'll have people playing. And it was very rare that the place was empty. Very rare. It had its slow nights, but it was really rare that there wouldn't be anybody there. Saturday night it was always packed. You know, so you had the people who were on the ship, you know, chilling from their time on the ship, and then you had the wives that would come in, who could get, you know, they had access to the base as well, and you know, maybe they're just there for a drink, you know, maybe to get away from the kids for a while. So you had a big selection of people. It was mostly people who were from the different ships around San Diego and North Island and things like that, and they'd come all the way out here to go dancing and clubbing, and it was fun. It was big variety of people. You rarely saw the same people twice. So right here I'm just kind of doing some stick figures of people, look like they're ice skating. But basically that's kind of like the layout of the club. And then you'd enter, you probably had a bouncer, you know, somebody who is checking your ID, make sure you're 21. And if you weren't 21, you had like a badge or something like that on you, or a wristband or something like that, that meant that you could only drink sodas or something like that. Okay, so we'd have the establishing shot inside the bar, and then let's see, the outside of the bar, and I have no idea. Let me see. Oh, it's almost, okay, it's 7 o'clock. Alright, for those of you who are just joining, hi, I'm Kim Pinkney, and welcome to my channel. Now this stream is about my webtoon that I'm working on, and this particular thing that I'm doing right now are thumbnailing the different scenes that are going to be happening inside the webtoon. Now I've gone over the different types of thumbnails that you could possibly use that might help you either in writing or brainstorming or even just kind of sketching out. And your thumbnails don't have to be super intricate. They can be as detailed as this, which is a bunch of scribbles, but it tells me all these round shapes are heads, and these are people basically all over the place in a basic club, and it's pretty dark in this club. This does not help. Let me get out of that. Okay, so I could have my friend, the guy and his friend, just looking at everything that's happening here, and then I could always change the perspective and maybe draw it at a different perspective, like a top-down perspective, so you kind of have an idea of where things are. I cannot remember where the bathrooms are in this place, but I remember dancing for like 4 or 5 hours. I'd have the same Zima that I'd be nursing for a while. You'd have guys kind of like congregating here, or even here. It actually kind of sloped down a little bit. I'll figure that out. But yeah, kind of like a ramp, so even if you were disabled, you can come on in. Why not? But let me see if I can do a replay, and then let's see. Okay, so this will go through all the thumbnails, and I apologize that they are low res. It's just the way it's doing it. And you can kind of see what I've been working on for the past couple hours. Alrighty, it's still going. So basically, he meets his friend in the club and comes across a little cougar, and he's like, "Oh, bro, that's all you. That is all you, bro." And he kind of like waves to her, but his friend is like, "Bro, we gotta go." And then back over here is like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "What? What?" And pretty much telling him about, you got the E Club. You don't have to go after this low-hanging fruit. What are you doing? And in the meantime, he's checking out the girl at the over playing pool while his friend is talking about the E Club. And then I kind of illustrate that, you can make your thumbnails as intricate as you need them to be. But a lot of the time when I'm doing these thumbnails, I'm also brainstorming what's going on in this thing, because it's not, my story is general, but it's not precise. So it's like, comes up to this chick, it's like, "Hey, can I talk to you for a sec?" And then she's like, "Rack your balls." It's like, and then gives her whatever line, and then he gets her phone number, and then his friend is like, "You're such a simple creature." It's like, "Oh my God." It's like, "What?" And he's like, "What?" Okay, so again, like same scene, but from a different angle, maybe a top-down perspective. So like, if you can, change up your perspectives a bit. That kind of makes it easier on the eyes, makes it a little bit more entertaining to watch. And I kind of think of it kind of like almost like I'm looking at a movie. At least that's one of the ideas that I had for that. Okay, so this was like the description of the E Club. It has an arcade, it has the bar, and so he can go to all these different little areas where he can hit on somebody. But yeah, that is what's going on in this chapter too. And all of this is going to be on the same document. All I have to do is just like turn off the other ones and then export the images and stuff like that. But yeah, so basically he's nursing his his drink and stuff. So right here is where he runs into an old friend, is basically what these images are. And then he's looking over his, through his arm at a little silver fox who just came to the bar. And then he notices from, I guess, where he was playing pool that his friend is there. Then they talk about things. At first they're all like really happy, and then next thing you know, it's like, damn, this is heavy. This is super intense. So his friend has just gotten caught up on his life. And so he just gets a drink bought for him. It's like, there's good times to be had here. And his friend is like, dude, that's all you, bro. Okay, so he gets her phone number. It's always closing, always closing. That should be like a particular document, and make a duplicate of it, and then one would be my one that I'm drawing on, and the other one could be the one that is the original. But I like the idea of taking it into my Google Docs, because then I could bring it back in if I need to, without having additional documents. So once I figure out which thumbnails I want to keep, I will go ahead and color them and then put them into the final document. And his friend's like, "You're such a simple creature." It's like, what? And those are both lines from different movies. Some of my favorite shows and movies. Okay, so yeah, Rack Your Balls came from American Gothic. And then the other one, You're Such a Simple Creature, was from was from Dogma. So kind of funny, kind of funny. At least to me. And my one buddy, I think he'll get a kick out of it. And then there's the E Club. But yeah, whatever you come up with to help you with your drawing, instead of just trying to draw it out right off the bat, give yourself some thumbnails. It also will allow you that opportunity to, it just gives you that a little bit more than what your story gives you. And then as you're coloring it, especially if this is your own story, that you're not doing it for somebody else, that you have a lot of license and a lot of ability to move around and stuff, you could add different things. Like what I had done was in this one here, I wanted him to be pissed off because this hooker was late getting there. He can't sleep, and he's trying to prepare for the next day, and the one thing that he needed was one person to sleep in there on time so he'd get his good 8 hours. And he's at his best when he's got his 8 hours. So he's like, "You're late," and I just threw ice cubes on here. But it's like, seriously, got this little thought balloon. What kind of freak puts a time lock on a bedroom door? So it's like, have fun with your thought balloons, and then in your speech bubbles, because I remember seeing another one called Usagi Yojimbo. Actually, let me show you this one. This is what I was working on this weekend, and taking my thumbnails, and what I did is this one was actually the thumbnail, and what I did is I took the thumbnail and started drawing on top of it, and was using it as my template, but things had changed. So like, as I liked one particular image, I decided to go ahead and keep that particular image. This right here that's playing out is that nobody likes a tardy tart. So while this tardy tart decided she didn't really care about being late, he took all the blankets, he took all the pillows, and she's commenting like, "Look at this shit. He took all the blankets. He took all the pillows. I got like just the bare sheet underneath me." She's got the mini fridge in the bathroom, and she's like, "A mini fridge in the bathroom, a time lock on the damn door." It's like, who does that? And it's basically, he didn't want her roaming around his house. He's got some valuable things that are valuable to him. Didn't want her roaming around. And then he rolls over after kicking off some of the blankets over time, and he has a boner. He's having a wet dream. And she's like, okay. So she decides she's going to take a selfie of herself with his boner. And she got a little bit more in her picture than she bargained for. And she decides she's going to turn around, and then she sees something about to grab her. So that would be the end of part of that chapter, or close to the end of this chapter. But yeah, so I've created the thumbnail, and I made it as intricate as I needed it to be, so that I could kind of see clearly where I needed to go. Now, once I started coloring it, I made it bigger so it would fit the panel, and then I started illustrating the actual panel itself. Now, once I got to this point, this is where it can deviate. Heads can get bigger, smaller. You can draw them to scale. Well, big enough for you to work with. So this is what I was working on this weekend, and I found that I liked her pose. It was coming out really nice, and it also guided the eye down across the page just a little bit, guided the eye downwards. So as you're checking her out, I gave a little, I don't want to say cookie, but on her underwear it says "money makes me moist," so it kind of gives a little bit of insight to what she's like, besides just coming to somebody's house and with a trench coat on. She is definitely direct and to the point, so but also greedy. So she definitely stays the entire 8 hours because she definitely needed that money. And so I'm pretty much drawing that. Now, initially, I had him stopping her at the door and saying, "You agree to this," but it's like if she shows up, and I take it that she shows up about maybe a couple hours late, so he's kind of pissed. And I wanted to show that, not just like him pointing and making a noise and stuff like that, because he is a salesperson and he knows how to deal with people, but this was just a bit much for even him to take in. So at worst, he just is doing the passive aggressive stuff. So he kind of snarls at her with this icy talk. "You're late." Like she cares. It's like she doesn't really give a rat's ass. She's gonna get paid regardless. So that's as far as I gotten on this particular one. And I wanted her to be able to chat on her cell phone to somebody. So here is where I am about to, sort her out. She's looking at him and commenting on while she's chatting about what's going on. And I'm calling it Lacebook instead of Facebook, because that's where the hookahs go, the working girls. Why not? Career girls. Yeah, that's the ticket. So she's chatting on that and letting her friend know what's going on. And it is a dick thing to take all the blankets, to take all the pillows, and who knows if she maybe left her jacket outside the room, or maybe the room is warm enough that she doesn't need it. But he doesn't want to be touched, clearly. He just needs his sleep, and he hates when people don't respect his wishes. But what can you do? Anyway, anybody would. You're paying for a service and you expect it done on time, but this is what it is. So he just left it kind of like at the iciness in his voice and the antisocialness of his blanket. So he's putting money into the time box so that when it reaches 0, the door will open and the money will pop out or be accessible. And so here I am trying to make him look butch. Really pissed, just really freaking pissed. And then I'm like, how can I make him even more pissed? I'm like, well, for one thing, his hair shouldn't be so put together. It's bedtime. He's probably already taken his shower, more than likely. So he's tired. He's going to bed. So it's kind of like he's showing his true self, type of thing. It's like, I'm tired. He really is tired. So maybe it's like the hangry type of thing, or the tiredness there. So I had to figure out, because it changed from what initially it would have been. And if I would have kept it the same, the perspective would have been off. So I thought that she looked impressive enough to make her look bigger. Because it's like, you're paying for this service, but he doesn't give a rat's ass. Sleep is so much more important than sex, or, but her being on time would have been much more important than the other thing. So yeah, I had a typical thought balloon, and then I'm like, no, dog. We need to show like the iciness in his voice and stuff. So the big thought balloon that's right next to her is going to be like her cell phone. And to have that set off, I have that kind of with like a little drop shadow behind it. Alright, so that's it on here, and then I was going to do the rest here. And then I, like, horrified, realized that everything's cut off at the bottom here. So I'm like, oh no! What are I going to do? Thank goodness I've already got it saved somewhere else. So your thumbnails can save you a lot of time, a lot of aggravation, and also give you that allowance to go a little bit further. Add things that you didn't expect to add. Take things to a perspective that you didn't expect to take it in your mind's eye. So that is what I'm doing with mine. Let's see if there's anything else. Make sure you have your establishing shots. Let's see. What other ones do I have? Okay, so like after she lasts her 8 hours, this is what I was working on just as we were coming in to close out that particular chapter. Is that he's brushing his teeth in the morning, and he's like looking at the scratches and the blood on the door. The bunny's gone, and the girl's gone, but his door is all scratched up. And so now he's got to pay for that too, and that ends that. There's always a price to pay when you're trying to avoid, it's like it's the cost of doing business, I suppose, and that could be something that he puts on. That could be like one of the thought balloons that he has. Okay, so you guys, thank you so much for joining me. I will see you on the morrow with more. I'll probably be working on more thumbnails because I still have to get to, we're not even at the climax yet. We're nowhere near the climax yet. So, just a slow burn here, slow burn. And I'll probably do some more illustrative work on some of the other panels just to keep them going, keep the flow going. All right, you guys, take care. And again, thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, or if you like, subscribe, cool. And I'm going to try to post again tomorrow, and maybe if I'm not too tired tonight, maybe if I become inspired. Anyway, long goodbye. You guys take care. Bye-bye.